Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you for joining this session. My name is Isabel. I am an event planner joining you live from Sydney, Australia. Now, before we begin the session, we have a quick housekeeping. We are committed to fostering a welcoming, inclusive, and supportive environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, please let's keep our comments respectful, professional, and constructive throughout the session. This session is being recorded and will be available to view on demand within 24 to 48 hours right here on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. If this is your first time attending a Microsoft Reactor session, please note that you must create a YouTube account in order to access and interact in the chat. You can set that up now. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us on social media or through our website. Thank you all for joining us on another session of the Copilot Corner series. Today's session is called Mastering Copilot in Word. I am excited to introduce our fantastic speaker, Christy, and will now be handing over the spotlight to her. Take it away.
Take it away. Where am I running to? Not today, anyway. But do strap on your sneakers because, like all things, we've got 30 minutes of hardcore information coming at you so we can try and make the most out of the session. On this one, I'm going to be diving into Microsoft Word. So for all those wordies out there, let's have a little bit of fun. I know I spend a lot of time in Microsoft Word. So for me, this one's a little close to my heart with the amount of, documents I do and tender documents, and I'm constantly creating content. So I am Kirsty McGrath. As announced, I am a Microsoft MVP, 7 times awarded, up for the 8th award. So we will see. You can also find all this information. I've got it on my Adoption YouTube channel. So at any point, feel free to come along, follow, join me on LinkedIn if needs be. Rightio. So now, we've already gone through a whole heap of sessions, but there are more coming up and they've just gone live online. So if you've subscribed, cross fingers, you'll start to see these flowing through. We've got coming very soon as well, PowerPoint, Excel, OneNote, Loop, and a few others, so they'll all go on the list. So we've got Whiteboard, and we want to try and get through the 365 ecosystem, and we're going to find Copilot in terms of those points. The previous sessions are actually available on the Reactor, or you can go to my YouTube channel and you'll see them all listed out there. So it makes it a little easier than trying to find them. But let's get into it. I am going to go through Word where you have a bit of prompting and some fun. Now, don't forget, if we're talking that, command to conversational, getting into the GCSE, so that's the goal, the context, the source, and the expectations, is really important whenever we're creating a prompt. Now, in the very first session, I dove into the taxonomy. So if you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend. It's going to make a real difference in terms of the type of prompts that you would do and the output that you're going to get in that journey. So always something to take into consideration. So then, where are you going to find it? It's right throughout the ecosystem. If you're this side, if you're dealing with my wheel, for example, you can start to see all those kind of endpoints of where you're going to find it. Hence why I'm doing a ton of sessions in the series for you to help you out. Knowing what Copilot you actually have can be important. Do you have a license or don't you have a license, for example? You might have a Microsoft 365 license, and that just comes with chat. And we kind of delved into that and the differences in the second session. So I'm going to be focused on the licensed version of Copilot, where you've actually got your work component is embedded in. So you're going to find Copilot inside Microsoft Word for me to be able to work with. So what are some of the things that you can actually do in Word? One, it's about creating content, editing content, analyzing and summarizing content, and even being able to do things like create templates. There are some limitations. If I say, can you please turn all my headings into bold, I am not going to get that as a response, but I could actually ask it, how could I actually do it? So it would then go through and kind of say, have a little bit of a look. So I can use it to kind of critique the information I've got there as well. If at any point you want to have a look at all of the different prompts, there's actually the prompt gallery, which I'm going to go through and show you a little bit more. It's important that, as part of this environment, we do understand some of its limitations, because what I'll often see is, and I had just recently, I was running a workshop and someone had a PDF, and that PDF was 223 pages long. So then what they wanted to do was they kind of pulled it out into a Word document, and they wanted to summarize it and turn it into a PowerPoint presentation. I was like, okay, you're going to have some problems there. Okay, so you have to think about, what you've got in front of you, and can you actually break it down as well? We have to remember that our prompts need to be within, that 400,000 characters. It's not going to work well when it comes to smart art and tables and charts. You can convert things over into a table. So take that bullet point and, visualize it as a table instead. But there are certain things that it's going to look at when it comes to structured information, and we do have to take that. When we're looking at something like summarizing or referencing, it will do a significant amount of words, a 1.5 million amount of words, which is about 300 pages for it to work with. So that's got bigger and bigger compared to when we first started out, it was quite limited when we first started out. Even on the prompts and what we could put in the prompts and how many characters we could do. So it has grown exponentially. So if you were of the opinion a little while ago where it wasn't so great, give it a go now. This changes as quick as we can't do something, it does adjust. Now, when we're asking questions, it's best that the document is less than 7,500 words so it can go through and answer your questions. And when we're doing a rewrite of something, then we want to try and have it within the 3,000 words. So they're all components to think about when we're playing around with it. I've put in some links both up the top and down here on the bottom right-hand side of some of the functionality that you can work with. Inside this presentation, I've even dropped in for you the prompts that I'm going to be using throughout the session so you can have a play and try it yourself. But let's go over now into Word. So let's get started in the demo side, which is always way more fun rather than a bit of death by PowerPoint, considering the time we've got. So let's go and have a little bit of a look. I'm going to spend the next 20 odd minutes playing around inside Word. Now, when I first open up Word, I'm actually going to have here some quick and easy, do you want to get yourself started? Or describe what you'd actually like to write. Now, that's a little different if I go and open up a document. Then what I'm going to get is summarize. It's going to have a summary up the top. But let's get started from just something that's actually blank. I could start from here, or I can actually open up my Copilot pane and I can start to drive down a little bit further. So within here, more often than not, when I start to build, and I go, even if I just choose something directly from the list. So there's some pre-built, prompts that are around to help you play give me some ideas, for example, for that team event. Sure, let's have a look, because I'm running them all the time. It's going to surface a few things based on what I would do. So I go here, you could go do this, you could do this. Now, where it's pulling that information from, you'll start to see I've actually got links down the bottom. It will tell me in my referencing where it's actually pulled the information from throughout this. So from here, I can go, where did it go to? Now, it's pulling from external data because in my manage content preferences, I've actually turned on the web. Now, I could do suggest and turn that off. Then it would look internally on my information because I actually have Copilot license. It would look internally to maybe give you some suggestions. So where do you want to draw from becomes really important. Now, this is all covered under the enterprise data protection. Anything you put in here, whether you do attachments, whether you do images, anything like that, you can actually play around with. So from here, when I start to, play around a bit more, I would often start again. I want to start, and I would go, give me a new conversation. Don't forget, we talked about the fact that in conversation, you can go backwards 30 times. What else can I do? Let's click on the plus button. I've got attaching of a file. Maybe I want to build something based on another document, which I'll talk a bit more about. Viewing the prompts. So the prompts that come with Word, if I don't like some of these beginner prompts, then what you could do is start to actually have a look at all of the prompts that are in here underneath Word. And then I get my mega verbs, which will then give me those action item type things, ask, understand. And there's so many more that we could write our own prompts. We have our industries and scenarios here, the department and industry, who are you and what are you looking at to filter it down? And other prompts that maybe you've actually saved. So when you hover over it, I can go, I want to save this prompt so it's here in future. Different ways to be able to keep your prompts, or I can go see them all online. Now there is, if I remember, there's like nearly 400 prompts. I recently went and grabbed them all. I know, right? I actually went and grabbed them all and I put them into an Excel spreadsheet so I could just have a little bit of look, so I could build prompts off the back of it. And I used Excel to help me divide all of the information out and make it all look pretty and have a bit of a play. So I did do that. And now I can build all these prompts that I can help organizations with to do a bit of process reengineering. So from there, when I get in and I start to have a bit of a play around, one, I've got my click on. Things like, adding that image in. So it could be, can you give me a bit of an idea based on this image? So for example, I've got, one back a little bit further here. So I've gone extract the text from this image. And it goes, sure. And the image was based on the 10 gotchas for Copilot for Microsoft 365. It's gone through and gone, these are the things that you might want to have a look at based on sort of Gartner's information. I go, sure, I'm going to copy and just paste it. All I did was go and grab a picture. So I went in and I said, add an image, and then I uploaded, and then I said, extract information. Great, I love it. There's so many times where I've had an image, and, more often than not, when I'm doing I can do a right click in OneNote and go, can you get the text from out of this image? It's just a little bit different when I'm actually doing it this way. And I can ask questions about it as well to help me out. So that's one of the ways to be able to play around and bring in a document and just extract. From there, let's have a look at some of the other functionality of things that I might actually do in here. When I get a document and I actually physically open a document, it's a little different. So up the top instead, I'm going to close this here, up the top instead, it now goes a summary. So view more, show me the summary of this document. I could copy this summary. Maybe I wanted to use that summary in an email of going, thanks for getting back to me in regards to the document. What I've noted is blah. Yeah, so I'll often do these sorts of things. It could be go open this here in chat. So it will bring open my chat. So I could go open it up. But what I also like, another feature that's come into play is, do I want a brief summary, a standard, or a detailed? So if I go give me a detailed summary of this particular document, it will rewrite it and give me a bit more enhanced, overarching, where I might go, we're going to have a meeting. The meeting is going to be in regards to this, or maybe I want to take this and put it over into the PowerPoint. Usually I just go use that document for the PowerPoint, but I could have where I've got a really big document and I'm trying to bring it over. It's more than 40 pages. It's not going to work for PowerPoint. More often than not, what I do is this kind of a detailed summary. I will then copy that into another Word document, and then I would say to PowerPoint, look at that document to build it instead. There are different ways that you can work. So that again gives me, a little bit more comprehensive. For this particular document, what I might want to do is, I don't have an executive summary. It's very good at doing executive summaries. I like it. And even if I didn't put anything particularly comprehensive in as a prompt, now I'm now down in the document. It's a little different than if I actually go open up my Copilot chat and I put it into here. If I put it in the right, it will list it out over in the right-hand side. For example, create an exec summary for the document, short, introductory, it's formal, but I want it to be respectful, it needs to be welcoming and positive, and invite them to read the report. So if I do it over here, it's a little different than if I do it embedding inside the document. So here we go. So it goes, here you go, certainly this is what you want. Do you want to insert it? Now I could have done that over here. Instead, I can go create and do it here. And I can also do my attach for a reference if I wanted to. But there's no reference for this one. So now what it's done is it's actually automatically embedded it in. It has looked at some of the formatting to try and help me out just a little bit more, rather than me trying to go, copy this and paste it. The thing that I like about this, I can go keep it, or I can start to regenerate it. If I didn't overly love it, I can go through and go regenerate a couple of times, delete it, or say I want something extra done. So can you please put in another sentence in regards to, or this is too formal, can we make it less formal? So I could do that, and I go, no, that's fine, I'm going to keep it. So here we go. We've got my exec summary. Now, if I put that same thing into another report, for example, if I was going over and I've got this financial report, so here's a financial report. If I tried to put something like that in here as an executive summary, it's going to come out probably a little bit flowery, but it's pretty good in terms of understanding that this information is very dry. It's a lot drier than what I've got on the other one. So the type of exec summary, even though I've said make it a little bit more flowery with my words, it's kind of going, that doesn't fit. Let me just word this a bit. I could go back and say it, adjust it again, and it would if I wanted it to. But it's been pretty good at writing the right executive summary based on the type of template that I'm using. So I go, sure, keep it. If I'm wanting other data, let's have a look. So I come back over here. Let's scroll down on my initial document. I have in here, I've got a couple of sort of paragraphs embedded right here. And I go, I don't overly love the formatting. I think it would read better if I just put it into a table. I can pick and choose certain content and get a bit of coaching. I could go, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is a good response to the question that was above it? Do you, can you expand on this? What would be the general reader sentiment if I say this in this document? You could ask lots of questions about your information in here. So if I go, I want to visualize this as a table, it will go, sure, let me do that for you. Do you want to keep it? That means it's going to put both in. Do you want to replace, which means it gets rid of your information? I'm going to go replace it. Thank you very much. So now I've got a table inside my document, like it. For my formal closing paragraph, I would come in and I would write something, for my formal closing paragraph. It's nice and flowery and lots of those inclusive modifiers in this one. So those formal closing paragraphs, thank them for their hard work, reading and working towards our organization's strategy. I wanted to talk about unity, a family, and show that we care. It's going to be very flowery. Let's go. And if I didn't like it, I can come back and say, can you make this more formal, please? Can you adjust this? I want it in this tone. Or do you want it in a first person tone instead, or a third party, or you could adjust it all out. So playing around with it makes a huge difference. And I go, sure, fine tune and or keep it. So I will regularly extend out on information all of the time. When I get some real value out of this is, so for example, I was recently online and it was on a Copilot session that I had actually run. And then I was looking at the AMA. So I was running a session. I was going, can you tell me, and I want to find some more information about the Frontier program. So these are the AI first type organizations. And Caruana, who's on the customer advocacy team, they had done an Ask Me Anything session around the Frontier program. So I went, I'm just going to go get that transcript and I want to have a bit of a play around with the transcript. So there was just a bit of a summary of kind of what's in there. And here was the transcript that I copied. And I do this quite a bit because what happens is, as a specialist in MVP, a lot of people will say to me, do you have a list of FAQs or anything like that, like a whole Q&A piece that I can put onto our SharePoint for our staff? And I go, do you know what? Most of the information is out there. So what I would do is I would actually come into Copilot, and based on this particular document, I would ask it to help me to actually create an FAQ. So, it could be, and I can even just type this one up really quickly. I'm just thinking if I've got one here, I can copy and paste. I do this all the time. Now I'll just write one. Okay. So can you please create FAQ based on this transcript and put it into a Q&A format, please, with the questions in bold. And I'll go, sure, let me do that for you. And it's working through a transcript. What is it? Who can access it? Will there be additional licensing? You go, can you add more questions? Okay, let's go for it. Let's see what it does. So it will go through, it can continue on and go through it a little bit more. You could even ask it to then go, what else is actually available in terms of FAQs? Get it to extend, just building out. Okay. Doesn't take very long. I recently had it where I was working with an organization as well. So I can then just go, I want to copy that. And I might go, I want a brand new document. Instead, give me a brand new document and paste it in. Thank you very much. And more often than not, I just go here, I delete that out, I go file save as, I provide it to my client, I go, I've got a Q&A for you, it has actually been based off. Now, because it's actually got a number 1 right throughout it, see it's got a 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Now, that's because it's looking at this transcript. If you want to remove it, I would just go through and go remove all the reference points, please. So I see it a lot of times where it's got a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and I don't want to include any of the reference. I could, but I prefer to go, here's a link to the video. Here's all the questions and answers that have actually come from the AMA, and I would provide that for them. So, okay, it would then just work through. So it's all done. It's all out. And I could then copy and paste that. I'll let it do its thing. Okay. It moves too fast for me to go stop generating. It'd be good. So you kind of go, can you go a little slower? But I also don't want it to go slower. Let's move to another document. So from here, I've had plenty of instances where I'm doing tenders, for example, and they go, can you answer this question? And you've got a word limit. It's like, okay. Now, I'm a company. However, it's only me, the director, and then I have subcontractors that I'll actually bring in, and we all work together to execute a program in regards to change and comms and training, and I bring all the specialists and the people underneath that banner. So one of the questions that I had in the tender was, can you provide a detailed statement outlining for the department the chosen social procurement objective criteria in this invitation to supply with a 200-word limit? And I kind of went, okay, how do I answer that? Because for me, I'm actually just a small business. I'm not sure how to really answer that kind of thing. So a prompt that I used was, I've been asked this question. So it says, right, however, I don't have what's required. How do I actually answer this in a formal and professional way within 200 words? And I've gone, go and have a look at my organizational information, emails about myself, documents, meetings, things to be able to help you to answer this question. What I particularly love about working with Copilot and the likes is it allows me to be able to bridge some of the gaps in my knowledge and or help me to think a little outside of the box. Because it came back with, we're committed to aligning to these, and these are the why we understand the importance and the societal goals. It can be challenging. But I do work with local suppliers. Now, what I did was I realised that I go, do you know what? I actually have worked with the likes of Supply Nation, fabulous organisation out there to be able to help and support. I do a lot in terms of supporting small business and relationships that I work with. But my core thing that I realised was, hang on a second, I'm an MVP. It's all about the community work that I actually do. And I work with the not-for-profits, and I work with the Indigenous and schools and those that are struggling. I mentor. I do a ton of work. And I hadn't even thought about it until I started to get Copilot give me all these responses. That's what I love about this. It's bridging some of my knowledge. Fabulous work. So now let's get in and have a look at some of the other things that I've actually done with it. For example, there we go. I've got that one, executive. Right. So this one here was a particularly big one that I've just done not long ago, where I said, I actually have a document already. So I've got, for example, this change management ProSci kind of plans, and in there is a ton of different things that I need to focus on in terms of questions. So I said, hang on, I've got a template that I want to work with. So I then said, can you help me to build a change management plan based on that template? So whenever I want to do a template, I then do the slash. Go and find based on files or people or meetings or emails. Go and get that document and start building off something else. So, for example, if I do have a template with a particular design with styles in it and information or something that I've worked on previously, with Microsoft Word, you can actually go, help me to write a document and go and look at that template. And I wanted it with that look and feel. The paragraphs in that style, the tables, the headings need to be in that particular look. It might be in the greens and the blues of this particular font. And yeah, so if you want it to be a template, you need to point it to a template. So I then went through, and what I did as part of that, I said, can you ask me these questions one by one to fill out a program of work that I want to do for Copilot inside an organization? And it goes, sure, let me start with, this piece. What would you like to do for the exec summary? Now, I then was answering questions right along this whole thing. It says, okay, yes, it's about 40% actually are going to be information workers. Sure, let's do the next question. And so it's going through each one of those components. So asking it for things like, give me step-by-steps, or give me a step-by-step with an example. I love that one. Recently, I got asked to actually create 3 quick reference guides. Now, if anyone is in the industry like I am, to create a quick reference guide that's 2 pages generally will take you at least a day to create. Usually at least a day. It's a fair bit of work to create a guide. And I rocked up to a client and they said, can you create a guide for me? And I went, yeah, sure. And he goes, okay, these are the 3 that I want. And I've got a day with them. And I kind of went, okay, I'll see what I can do. But I actually used getting in here in terms of doing Copilot and asking online through Copilot chat and said, can you help me to build out this guide? Now, it was a Word guide. All my steps was actually created directly that I could drop into my document. And from there, I was then able to just drop in screenshots. I got all 3 created in one day. It would have taken me so much longer in the past. So from there, so say I've got my blank document here. And it can be, for example, okay, I'm going to go, can you create me a quick 250 word bio based on this document? Okay, so I can then go, in terms of files, do I have my bio in here? Of course, it's now dropped off. I might come over to the right. Now, when I'm coming up here, it'll only do the recent history. But if I come over here and I go, I want to attach a document, what I can do is go, I want to upload from this particular device and then go and grab it from my desktop here. So nearly done. Grab, here we go, my bio. And I'm going to put in that. Can you create a quick 250? Okay, upload it. Okay. Combing through. Sure. Let me have a look at that. And then I'll go copy and paste it, or I'll go insert. Done. Now, more often than not, what I would do is I'd even go, can you count how many words this is? So first I'd get rid of that and go, can you count how many words? It'll go, let me have a look at that. Now, I would have also taken out all the referencing, for example, because it's got a reference throughout it. It's looking at my document. But I do this all the time. More often than not, if I'm trying to reduce down the amount of words, so say it went from 350 words or I've got a limit of 200 words, and I've got like 352, which happens to me all the time. All I then do is it says, okay, I might then go, can you reduce this down to 150 words without compromising the integrity of the content? And I'll go, sure, let me have a look at that. So I want it to be a bit shorter and a bit sharper, for example. And it will then reduce it down. Done. Okay. So that's how I kind of work my way through my information to help and support me. Now I notice that there is, a couple of questions, and I'm just going to have a look at them now, and I'll just close out and then I'll come back and answer. So those prompts, and there's lots of information that's actually in here. One is, I've got one that I've done in terms of being a knowledge manager. This was quite a comprehensive one. You can go and do something like this, have a bit of a play, see what it builds out for you. There's lots more information. Don't forget, we've got more sessions coming up. Have a look at the Work Smarter blog in terms of on the Microsoft 365 Copilot blog. Some great content in there on how to do a lot of this. There is lots of learn support, training support, the guides for in regards to GCSE, better prompting, for example, the scenario library, some fabulous content in the scenario library, and that learn. If you want to learn from basic through to advanced, it's all available online. My wheel is available, but don't forget, this is about changing some of your behaviors and habits, and that's really up to you, not necessarily about Copilot. You have to push the button and play with it and go get curious and see what you can do a little bit differently. So thank you. Now let me just have a little bit of a question. I'm looking for non-work writing friction to see if it can assist with. Do you know how much it can assist beyond that? I use GitHub. I think my work will be included. Okay. In visual, I think my work includes M365 Copilot. So you'd have to have a look at whether you've got a license, number one. So you'd then have to also go, if you don't, you might have Copilot chat, and you'll be able to put your information in. So you could just sort of drop it into Copilot chat and ask it to do some, critique on your information, because it will look at a fairly decent amount. So it depends on how big your document is as to what could potentially be the output. If you've got if you're working and it's a book that you've written, and it's a very big book with 350 page type book with a lot of words, you might have to break it down a bit. Okay. And they go. I think that kind of covers off a lot of the questions. If there aren't any other questions. So system and user prompts, they are different. So I would have, if I was looking inside Word, so those doesn't have system and user prompts separate. A system prompt is quite different in terms of its functionality with Word. It's not necessarily looking at some of the actions. Inside Word, we don't have a lot of action type stuff like make it bold, for example. So that's quite different. When it comes to a different application, I can turn, for example, in Excel, which we'll be doing very soon, Excel, I can turn the first column bold, for example. However, not in Word. And a system kind of prompt, you'd then be looking at getting into Word or Azure or some of the back end functionality, or maybe it's in Windows. Very different environment and doing very different things to what we're doing across Word. Any questions, anyone? If there aren't any questions, I will actually close out the session. The team have put in the presentation, so it's the aka.ms. You can go /Copilot Corner. Word, it's the Copilot Corner Word is what you want. It's missing off the word at the end, so it's /Word. So just put Word on the end for Copilot Corner. Thank you. Also, join the next sessions, which is just Copilot Corner, if you want to join in that. My apologies. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate you coming along. And Roger, please feel free to reach out to me personally.
Thank you, Chris. That was a really good session. And thank you to everyone that joined us from home. Like Kirsty mentioned, we do have more sessions coming up, and I popped in the link. It's aka.ms/Copilot Corner. You will be able to register to all the upcoming sessions, or if there's a specific one that catches your attention. However, I do suggest you register to all of them. Kirsty has a bunch of amazing tips that she always shares with all of us throughout the sessions. And here you go. Thank you, Kirsty. You can find Kirsty in all of these platforms. And I also popped in the link to today's deck in the chat. Again, you're going to be able to come back to this recording in 24 to 48 hours in case you missed anything. But yeah, thank you guys. And thank you, Kirsty. I will be now wrapping up the session. And thank you all for joining us today. Thank you.
Don't forget the presentations there.